All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We can open it up with Scott, and then we'll go Heather off the bat.
All right, I guess I'm first. This is weird. Okay. Hi, Ron. Good to see you. I guess first things first is as you approach free agency, is there a balance you have to take here in terms of not going all in and kind of being mindful?
Hold on, Scott. We can't hear you.
I can do that, Scott Avram.
Can't hear me?
ABC News 7.
Check. You got me?
I can hear you if that matters.
We gotcha.
Okay.
Just turn that one off.
Do you hear me now?
Yep, we got you, Scott.
Okay, cool. So as we approach free agency, Ron, is there a balance you have to kind of take in terms of going all in or being mindful of kind of years down the road in terms of, balancing that salary cap?
Well, I think it's really about going forward, thinking about what we have to do and what we have to control as we go into the future. I mean, we're not desperate. There's no immediate need to have to, got to, must. What we're looking to do is we're looking to build a sustainable winning culture, and we want to put the football team together the right way. A lot of good things happened last year. We did something that was a little unexpected, which I acknowledge. But at the same time, just because of that, I really don't think you throw the plan away and you start reaching and doing things that you don't need to do right now. I think what you do is you continue to put the pieces of the puzzle in place, and hopefully build it the right way and put it all together the way you need it to be.
And a follow-up question for you. Everybody wants to know about the quarterback position. Of course, you guys parted ways with Alex Smith. What's your approach with the quarterback position in free agency? And are you comfortable maybe with just Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen back there?
Well, the biggest thing, guys, is we're going to continue to look. We're going through this process. Free agency starts next week. The draft is in 50 days, I understand. So, we still have time. And we're going to continue to explore all the options that are out there. I think, you guys, I get it. You guys want answers, but we don't have answers for you right now because we're still working through the process. Again, we've got a lot of time, with free agency next week and the draft in 50 days.
We'll go Heather, then Darren.
Hey, Ron, good to see you. Kind of following up on that, you said we don't want to throw the plan away. What is the plan, and how much, how similar is it to when you came into this job? And I mean, certain things players adjust, but how much are you sticking to that plan when you say we're not going to throw it away? If you could kind of describe.
Well, we'd like to stay with what we want to do. The thing that, again, I get it. We had success last year. People want to see us continue to do that. Well, if we try to take one big shot, now you got to start all over again and again and again. What we want to do is we want to get to the point where we don't have to start all over. So we want to make sure we look at every option we have and we do things and we move cautiously, smart. We don't want to put ourselves in a position where we have to start all over again in a year or two. We want to be able to say, hey, we put the right pieces in place that gives us the opportunity to go out and do the things that we want to do, but we want to be truly smart about it.
And what was the last month like for you? I mean, a time to get away. Do you feel like you reset? What is the last, couple months been like for Ron Rivera?
Well, January was long. I was here all the way through January, had a lot of work to do. But I was also waiting for my, my vaccine because I'm immune deficient. I had to wait. I got my first shot, and I had to wait until the end of January, or actually beginning of February, before I could leave and take a break. I finally got a chance to take a break, and then been back in the office and have tried to continue to work and put things together. I mean, January was all about trying to get the front office put together. Working with Martin and Marty. I think we've done a good job. I think we've kind of put that in place the way we want it. I like what we've done there. I think it gives us a very veteran feel. I think the idea is to have guys that have opinions, that have strong ideas, positive ideas, guys that have gone through a lot, that have seen success, have seen some failure, so that we know how to avoid those pitfalls. And, you know, that took us the whole month of January to get that done, and into February to be upfront about that. You know, and again, we're still kind of molding the organization, and we'll continue to do that as we go forward.
Darren, Con, JP.
Hey, Ron, how are you? Good to see you. So I'm a horrible fantasy football player. That pressure of trying to pick players and build your team up. I'm just wondering, because people want to know who will be the quarterback and stuff like that, how much pressure do you feel on yourself as time continues to tick to make sure you make these right picks and these right choices during this time?
Well, I don't feel any pressure about certain things, to be upfront about that. To me, the biggest thing is the pressure is applied by you alone, as far as I'm concerned. So to me, you know, what we just have to do is we have to make what we feel is the best pick. And that's really it. And there's a lot more that goes into it too, because you've got to make sure you have the people around them. So, you know, we're going to go through this very judiciously, and we'll see. But, you know, we have time. We really do. We have an opportunity to grow it the right way, in all three phases. And so, if the quote unquote franchise guy isn't out there, you know, we're gonna go with guys that we believe give us a chance to win, and that's really what you do. You know, do you want to be able to say this is our franchise quarterback? Well, yeah, you would love to, but you don't know that until the quarterback starts playing, or quarterbacks, and once that happens, then you'll know. And so we just got to continue to go through this, study the players, and get the one that we feel can become that player, and we'll see what happens.
John.
Hey, Ron, good to see you. When you look at free agency, how much are you also looking at the draft to see where the value you can get at a position? How much does that factor into your decisions as far as who you might pursue or how much you might?
Well, the big thing about it is what you'd like to do at this portion of free agency is, you know, we have a couple of guys that we'd love to be able to get immediately, and we'll see how it goes. But if not, then we take a step back, we reset, and then we go out and we find guys, you know, and we'd love to find guys that have the kind of impact, you know, that a Logan Thomas did, that a JD McKissick did, that a KPL, Kevin Pierre-Louis did for us, you know, Cornelius did for us. I mean, you know, you could sit there and say, oh, well, you know, they got a bunch of, you know, retreads. Well, but look at how they play. You know, look at what JD McKissick did. Look what Logan Thomas did. Look what Kevin Pierre-Louis. Look at how Lucas played for us. I mean, I think what has to happen is, you know, we've got to make sure we filter through all this, and we find those guys that are going to perform like that. And that you know, that really, you know, means that we've got to do our homework. We've got to study the people, and then once we get them, we got to coach them up and then put them in position to have success. And you know, we were fortunate enough to do that last year to a degree. I say to a degree because, you know, the division was not as strong as you'd like it to be, but at the end of the day, we did come out on top of it, and our guys, you know, worked and fought and put themselves in position to win. So that's what we're looking for right now.
And then obviously the other day, you guys put the franchise tag on Brandon Sheriff. It's a lot of money, obviously, for a guard. I'm just curious the decision behind that, and then just, are you still optimistic that something can get done long-term to maybe put everything, I guess, maybe in a better cap situation?
Yeah, that'd be nice. And you never know. I think the thing everybody has to understand is, you know, we want to try and keep our own. We're trying to show the players we want to keep our own. And at the same time, hopefully we can get those things done. You just don't know. But the thing is, we have something special in terms of the players that are on this roster that we think fit us. We want to be able to keep them around, and we'll see what happens. But you do want to be able to fix it. You do be able to want to put it in position where it is down a long term, and it puts you in position to take care of the other guys. That's the thing that we have to look at.
Thank you.
Hi, Ron. Are you able to shed any light on just your conversation with Alex when you guys decided to part ways, and just generally your reaction to his comments in the GQ interview?
Well, I think it was a very good conversation. It was very positive. It was, it was one of those things that we both had a chance to see the other side's perspective. And be quite honest with you, I don't disagree with a lot of things that he said. I really don't. And the biggest thing, and the thing he and I talked about really was that there really was no roadmap to get us to where we were. And I told him, I said, Alex, I'll be honest, I was scared to death. I had no idea. I didn't know what to expect, which I believe he appreciated was that I, just telling him exactly how I felt, how hard it was for us. I think that's the thing everybody forgets is, Alex did a great job. He worked his butt off to put himself in position to come back and play. But I said, there's a part that people don't understand, and that is we had to, as a coaching staff, had to look through this and think through this, and it was always in the back of my head. What if he gets hurt again? What if he hurts that leg, that specific leg again? I'm going to be the guy that put him back on the field to let him get hurt again. So I told him, I said, I fought with that, struggled with that every day. That was tough. And as we talk more and more, I think, the realization, that, hey, there's two sides to it. And as he said, coach, there really is no roadmap to get to where we got today. So I really appreciated him saying that. But again, like I said, I don't disagree with some of the things that he said in that article. I think they were fair, because you don't know. You come in and as a player, and a new coaching staff comes in, and you're not, there's no ties. But the one thing I did tell Alex, I want you to understand this: if there was anybody that was behind you the whole way, it was Mr. Snyder. Because he was the first guy. Mr. Snyder had come to his house to meet me and tell that, hey, this is the new head coach. And Alex and I got a chance to sit down and talk, and we had a great conversation. When he walked out, I said to Mr. Snyder, I said, this reminds me of the Thomas Davis story. When Thomas was coming off of his third knee surgery, he wanted to come back and play. And I thought, my thinking, wow, that's crazy, but we'll see what happens. Well, I told Mr. Snyder that. Mr. Snyder said, if he plays, Ron, I'm betting on the old guy. So, there's a whole story to that a lot of people don't know. And I get that because we don't talk much about it. But I really appreciated Alex coming to meet me for breakfast and having the conversation that we did. And knowing Alex from just this year, he'll get an opportunity to play again. He really will, I think. And he'll do a great job at it because that's who he is.
Did his second injury, the one he suffered late in the season, did that impact your view of whether he would be durable or at all be capable of being a starter in 2021?
Well, there's a lot of things that factor in all that stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, we made a decision that we thought was best for us going forward. And as I said, it was something he had talked to, and we had talked about, and had asked for his release. So, we went ahead and did that.
Go JP, then Michael Phillips.
Ron, you talked about that there are some players that you want to go after immediately when free agency opens. How have some of the franchise tags that have been placed around the league impacted maybe your immediate plans for free agency?
Well, some of them that, they hit right away, you say, okay, take that one off the list. I mean, that's just what happens. You sit there and you wonder if a guy will get there or not. And if he does, then, then you got to decide if you're willing to make that move or not too. So, some of these decisions were being made for us.
Did you want to provide the names of the players you'd like to go after immediately?
No, I can't. That's tampering. So, as far as that's concerned, I can't do that. Besides, we want to talk about what we're planning to do.
2 quick updates on players on the roster. Sadiq Charles, how's that looking? And then what is the status with Reuben Foster?
Well, Sadiq is doing well. And Reuben is doing well.
With Reuben, does his contract toll a year because he was on IR, or is that still expected to expire?
I believe it's expected to expire.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mike Phillips.
As long as we're running down the list, Kyle Allen, I know you don't know when you'll get the guys in the building, but do you expect he would be able to participate in training camp when you get there?
In training camp?
Yeah.
Yeah. Training camp, definitely.
Okay. Wanted to ask you about the challenges of this year, assembling your free agency list, your draft list, while also overhauling the staff, not being able to have everybody in the building. What are the challenges unique to this, and how are you guys finding a way through that?
Well, the biggest thing is really the communication, just trying to get everything to the coaches from the scouts. That's one of the things that we've tried to do. We have limited time. That's the other thing that we've had to deal with, getting everybody back into the building at different times. That's another one of the things that you've got to worry about, again, because we're still trying to follow specific protocols that we have set up. If you've got, I still have my mask on, because if we have more than 2 people in a room that's enclosed, you got to keep your mask on if you can't stay socially distant. So we've got a lot of rules that we have to still follow and still have to be careful with. Even though I've got my vaccine, I still wear my mask, when I'm in a group with a group of people.
You've made a lot of personnel moves. I would imagine last year was pretty hectic when you jumped in, just with everything that was on your plate. Does it feel a little different this year in terms of maybe being able to be a little more deliberate with these decisions?
Well, yeah, I think, coming out last year, not really having an opportunity to get to get a feel and an understanding for everything that's going on and the people around you. But at the same time, you still, look at things and say, okay, these are things that we're working on, these things that we got to get better at.
Go Ben and Matt Paris.
Hey, Ron, going back to some of the quarterback thoughts for a second, how much of the fact that you guys are picking at 19 and there's some uncertainty as to whether possibly a quarterback you actually would want would be there, how much does that factor into whatever decisions you're going to make here over the next couple of weeks?
Oh, everything, everything's an impact. I mean, everything's going to have some sort of involvement in your decision. It's just, the way it is. At 19 in the middle of the pack, it's going to be hard to sit there and think the guys that you really like are going to be there. If you really like them, chances are the people in front of you really, really like them as well. So we'll see how that all happens once we get to the draft itself. But right now it's the same thing in free agency. Who they've tagged, that impacts your decision. Who gets signed right off the bat when the start of free agency occurs. That's going to impact you. And then who's out there on the second surge of players, that impacts your decision making and how quickly those guys go. So we'll see. I mean, we're anxious. We're trying to make sure that we have our plans, our fallback guys, and then what we think about the draft will be very important as far as our decision making.
And back to Brandon Sheriff for a second. You talked about you want to build something sustainable here, not just make a big play for 1 year, but build something over time. If he plays on the 1 year tag, the likelihood of him coming back decreases just based on how numbers work. So how much does that weigh in your considerations here in talks going forward, of wanting him to be here, but like knowing if he plays on this tag, the chances decrease?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the chance that we're going to take. He was an integral part of the success we had last year, and as we go through this, if that's the situation, set of circumstances, and he continues to prove to be an integral part, we're going to have our work cut out for us. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the truth of the matter. As far as the situation with the tag, it's a tough deal, but if you're trying to do something and build it so that it lasts a while, sometimes you got to do this, and that was my decision and my decision alone. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Matt Paris and Sam.
Hey, Ron, just following up on that, you said you wanted to show the players that you could send them a message just with wanting to keep guys of your own. Just curious, how much of that plays, does that factor in when giving out contracts? And is there any other, are there any other players that are of your own that are going to hit free agency that you would like to retain kind of under that same umbrella?
Well, you'd like to retain as many of your guys as you can. Sometimes it's not feasible, it's not possible. So you have to start somewhere. It doesn't mean you don't want the other guys. It just means you had to start somewhere. So this is where we chose to start. But as far as I'm concerned, the guys that are going to be free agents, they all can make this team. It's just, this is the difficult part of having a salary cap. This is the difficult part of having the rules the way they're set up. You know, it's not necessarily like some of the other sports where, you know, you don't have to worry about those things. You have to stay focused and try to figure out, you know, who's the best for you going forward in terms of, we'll start here and we'll work our way down the list and see what we can do. I mean, it's just, that's the hard part. That's the harsh reality.
And I wanted to ask about the ongoing investigation into Dan Snyder. A couple recently, ex-employees and a couple advocacy groups have called for the report to be public. Do you believe that the report will be public and should be public?
Well, I can tell you this much. That's beyond me right now. That's not for me to say. The biggest thing I'm here to talk about right now is the draft and free agency and our football team, as far as, you know, where we are today and where we are going forward.
I understand. Thank you, Ron.
Ron, we talked a lot last year about your linebacking core, and I wonder, as you approach, you know, free agency and the draft, what you're looking for in terms of characteristics of guys and how you'd like to maybe upgrade that position.
Well, I will tell you this. I like the guys that we had as we finished up the season. I'd love to see us get a guy with the skill set of Kevin Pierre-Louis, whether it's Kevin or somebody else. I'd love to have Kevin back. He played very well for us, did a lot of good things, got better down the line. There are some other guys that are out there that have the same skill set, that play the same way, maybe a little bit younger. You'd like to get those guys. So we'll see what happens. But again, it's one of those things where we'll see what happens in the start of free agency, and then we'll see what happens with the second surge of guys.
And with Marty and Martin, I wonder how that partnership has continued to grow and kind of what you've seen, and maybe if you've been working through any disagreements or how that process has worked so far.
I think it's worked well. You know, we've had several meetings so far with one or the other taking the lead. You know, and I you know, don't forget Eric Stokes and Chris Pauling are two experienced guys as well that have all been part of the meetings that we've had. And as I said, you know, it's really kind of been one of those things where we are all kind of collaborating and sharing ideas, thoughts. Each guy seems to lead a segment that they're leading, which I think is good as well. Because, you know, again, this is about making sure we do it and get it right.
Thank you.
So Chris Russell, then Les.
Hey, good morning. You guys recently made some personnel moves behind the scenes, Paul Kelly and Anders Butel and Elliot Jimming. Can you just take us through some of the thought process, why you guys made those moves, and who might you be bringing into the organization, and what kind of goes into that process?
I'm not going to talk about anybody specifically. I'm just going to say that, you know, the thing that we're doing is we're making decisions to take this team in the direction we want to head.
Les.
Hey, Ron. Maybe this is a silly question, but I'm wondering, do you look at this cap room that you have, whatever's fifth most in the league, do you look at it as an advantage? Is this a one-time advantage? Is this an opportunity right now? Where do you see it, kind of?
I see it as an opportunity, but the thing everybody seems to forget is you got to sign your own guys. You may have a tremendous amount of cap room, but, you know, who don't you have back on the roster? I mean, so that's the thing. Everybody got to show. We got to take a look at our guys first, and then we go out and see what we can do, where we can get the next best player available. And as somebody asked earlier, which I thought was a great question, is how does the draft impact that? You know what I'm saying? You sit there and say, oh, well, we can get this position in for agency. Well, then it releases you in the draft, but then all of a sudden, that guy at that same position sitting there staring you in the face. You just signed one guy at that position. Now, do you draft that guy at that position? So we've got a lot to think about, a lot to work through. You know, I will say this: we like this draft, especially for specific positions. So we'll see what happens through free agency. What you like to do through free agency is put yourself in a position by filling specific needs, so that now, when you get to the draft, you don't have to take a specific position. That's what I like to see us put ourselves in that type of situation where you don't have to go out and fill that position with need.
There's also a lot of characterizations out there that you guys are very aggressive, the most aggressive, whatever, at trying to get a veteran quarterback right now. Would you consider those accurate kind of comments?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we're out there.
All right, we'll take 3 more. We'll end with Rhiannon, Pete Haley, and Steve Wino.
Hey, Ron, it's good to see you. Ron, I guess what I really wanted to understand is how do you balance retaining guys in terms of like what makes for you a guy that's worth retaining, like in your experience in Carolina versus somebody else? I know you've talked about there's a list of guys that you'll go down, but what denotes somebody really being worth retaining versus somebody not being worth retaining?
Well, I think it's their overall impact on the team first and foremost. How do they impact the team? What do they mean to the team? What do they mean to their specific position? And I think that's important. I think guys like that really do help. There's sometimes when you decide on a player, you have to have specific reasons. And I think that's the thing that I always want to look at is just, what's their impact on the team and in the organization.
And then the quick follow-up to that is you guys have this basically kind of looks like opportunity where there's not too many massive holes that you all have to fill, but obviously depending on how free agency works for you guys, some of your free agents, whether you lose them or not, they could become bigger holes. What is the tightrope there with not, trying to get what you guys want, maybe having it on the roster, possibly retaining it, but also possibly there might be some other guys that are out there and you might lose some people that are already on your roster. Does that make sense basically?
It does, Rhian. And the hard part about all of it is, is what is a player's value? That's the thing that everybody cringes about. I should say, that's the thing I think a lot of coaches cringe about because there's a guy or 2 or 3 that they really truly like that's on your roster and you want to get them back. And if you don't, like you said, there's that now all of a sudden there's that hole in that position. So now you got to go out and you got to see if you can get it taken care of in free agency. And that's a gamble, just like the draft. And if you don't take care of it for agency, now you're going into the draft thinking, I've got to find that guy. Now you put a little bit more pressure on yourself because you weren't able to fill that hole. So that's the balancing act. If you can keep your own, and not allow a hole to pop open, you take pressure off yourself. If you do and it does get open and you can't fill it, now the pressure really builds up for the draft.
Hey, Ron, how does Landon Collins' situation coming back from that Achilles injury impact your view of safety and whether it needs to be addressed at all in the coming months?
Yes. We have to see how he's progressing and see where he is as we go forward.
And as you evaluate all other options at quarterback, look through everybody, people will draw the connection between you and Cam Newton. What did you make of his performance last year, and could he maybe be a fit for your offense in 2021?
Well, I think the thing is I can't talk about it right now because free agency hasn't started.
Hey, Ron, whether this is specific positions or kinds of players you want, you said you have needs to fill. Is there a certain kind of player that you're looking for or a certain kind of talent you want to bring to the field or to the locker room?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you want to me, first and foremost, is you want to bring a guy that here fit, a cultural fit, a coaching fit, and a playing fit. I think all 3 are important as far as the fit is concerned. If you only got 2 out of the 3, to me, you're taking a little bit of a chance that somewhere along the lines you're going to have a guy that doesn't fit, period. So I hope to get a guy that's a cultural fit, a coaching fit, and a schematic, a playing fit. That's what you look for.
What is, after a year of being in this job, what fits the kind of culture you're looking for in a player?
Well, to me, it's about team, first and foremost. It's about having the right type of character. Things are important to you. The little details are important to you. For us, as an example, last year we only had 2 guys that tested positive for COVID once the season started. And I think, first of all, it was a tribute to our infectious control officer, Ryan Vermillion, our head trainer. But I think it was also a testament to the players stepping up, coaches stepping up, and really taking it very seriously and doing the things that they needed to do. They showed a lot of maturity, a lot of selflessness, because it's easy. It would have been easy to go out and do something and get themselves in a bad situation and then test positive, infect their teammates or other coaches or stuff like that. And they didn't, and they kept their guard up. And again, I really truly appreciate the way they handled this year. And to me, that's what we talk about. You talk about cultural fit. That's important. And we were able to do that because of the fact that the guys paid attention to the